In the last video, I talked about selecting eyepieces, which was the major cost of this project. This video is going to be about finder scopes. I mentioned that I've had this Telrad finder scope I started with. Now, I'm not actually going to replace it. I'm going to add to it with an optical finder. So that's the basic premise of this video, but there's more to the story than that. So here's the problem. This is a light pollution map at lightpollutionmap.info. In fact, let me bring up the actual website. So you can zoom in here on any part of the United States. I live in the eastern part of the United States, and you can see is a distinct line. The eastern part is very light polluted compared to the west. And if I zoom in on Cincinnati, where I live, in the middle of Cincinnati, you can click on a spot and it says the Bortle index is 8 to 9, which is pretty horrid. In the suburbs here where I live, they're saying it's class 6. I think in my backyard it looks to me more like class 6 or 7. And I have to go, quite a ways out into the rural area to get down to a class 4. So here's what the Bortle scale looks like. Class 1, you got excellent dark skies, which would be nice if we all had that. Where I live, I see more like this, and actually probably more like this. And in the middle of Cincinnati, you're lucky to see any stars in the middle of a city. And if I go out into the very rural area, maybe that's where I can get more clear views of this sky, but still not what you would see, for example, up in the Boundary Waters or up in northern Maine or in the West Coast in Colorado. Another problem I have with the Telrad, a couple things. One is it's a little bit awkward to get down behind this thing, particularly when you're looking high in the sky and you have to get down on your knees to look up. It's just a little bit awkward. The second thing is, this is what a normal person sees. These concentric red circles that are basically LEDs projected onto the sky. What I see with my astigmatism in my eyes is like a multiple thing like that. I can't explain it, but there's something really hard about LEDs and my astigmatism. I look through that thing, and I see multiple images, so I got to decide which one of those do I place on the star. And it's worse than that because of the Bortle index, the light pollution. I can't even see the star, so you can't point this Telrad at something if you can't see it. So what I purchased was this aperture RACI, they call it, a right angle correct image. So what the view you get out of it is intuitive. It's right side up as opposed to upside down you get in your telescope. And when you want to move the telescope, you move it the way you would expect to, left, right, up, and down. So here's the actual thing. It comes nicely in the box. You just have to turn this viewfinder around, and then I can change the angle of this, whichever is more comfortable to look at. But it's very nice because I can stand on the side and look right down into it. I don't have to get down on my knees to look up the path of the telescope. This cost about $75, but it was absolutely worth it. And like I said, I didn't really replace this Telrad finder. I added to it. And I'll show you kind of what I mean here. So here's a case. I was trying to find this double star Albireo. And I could see these 3 bright stars, and that's about it. But I knew by the Starfinder map that it should be about here. So if I just could kind of eyeball that triangle, and it's about halfway between Altair and Vega, and like about a quarter of the way up toward Deneb, I was able to use the Telrad to point roughly in that position. And then I could see in my optical finder, I could see the star that I was looking for. And sure enough, then when I look in the telescope, there I can see the nice double star with a nice blue and yellow colors to it. Another issue I had, now that I've got all this stuff up here with some heavy eyepieces, two finders, the telescope was getting pretty heavy toward the front, so I had to add some of these weights that I got at Harbor Freight. Now they stick on, but they don't stick on that well. So I kind of had, it doesn't look very elegant, but I taped them on here with what we call 100-mile-per-hour duct tape, this metal tape that tends to stay, doesn't get gooey and fall off like regular duct tape. So here I must talk about something of great value, star apps, particularly Stellarium. This is either an app on the phone and or an app on the computer. So if I bring it up on my phone, let's see, it shows me what the sky is going to look like tonight. Let me bring it up on the computer so you can see it a little clearer. So I can change the direction in the sky I'm looking. So tonight, if I'm looking east, I can change the time to say, okay, when does Jupiter start to rise high enough above my trees? In early evening, I can see, well, Saturn is already high in the sky. So it's great for planning ahead of time. It's also great on the phone for holding up to the sky and saying, what is that star that I'm looking at? It's just an essential tool, I think, even more essential than the telescope itself for learning your way around the night sky. And another thing this got, if I click on planets tonight, it gives me a little chart. For example, it says, okay, Saturn is already up, but then Jupiter comes up here a little later. You can also search for things. So if I wanted to search for Albireo, how did I say that before? I think you say Albireo. And then I click on it, and then it brings it around to show me where it is, gives me information about it. And that would give me the altitude and azimuth that I would go look for it. That brings me to another point. I've been experimenting with putting on an inclinometer so I can directly read the inclination fairly accurately. Also, the azimuth, I designed a little 3D printed bracket that I stick on with Velcro. The reason I use Velcro is I didn't want to use any metal screws that would screw up the compass. And I've got a little shelf with two little bumps here that match the holes in the compass. You might be thinking, well, magnetic north is not where the stars are, it's true north. So all I have to do is I've set this dial a little bit off to set it for our magnetic declination, and then from then on, where the needle points on the scale is 0 to 360 of the true azimuth. Let's see, so stick this on and I've got the Velcro. So as I rotate this, I can read my azimuth bearing, and up here I can read my inclinometer directly. I haven't had a lot of experience with that yet. It's been a rainy week here, but I'm looking forward to trying that out. All right, one last thing I'd like to talk about here is the old traditional star chart called the Planisphere. I believe these still have value. Basically, you take the date and turn it to the time of night. So we're now here in the middle of November. I set that to maybe 9 p.m. if I want to be out in the middle of November at 9 p.m. And this where north, this is not this way. You hold this overhead and look to the north, and this then shows you the stars, in that direction. Or if I want to look in the east, I hold it overhead and look to the east side. Now, if I want to look south, you flip it over to the other side, hold it overhead, and look and see what's up in the sky to the south. This is also a great learning tool. For example, to demonstrate to somebody what does the term circumpolar means. So no matter what time of day or what time of year, as you turn this, all the stars and objects within this radius are always in the sky. So anything from here around in this radius are circumpolar. It's a great learning tool. It's also great for bringing like on a backpacking or a canoeing trip where you sorry you can't bring this thing. To complete my spreadsheet here of how much stuff cost, so this finder added a $75 to everything else, and I also had to add $20 worth of weights because everything was so heavy. I had to add more weight to the other end of the telescope. The cost of the free telescope so far is $885. Okay, that's it. Stay curious, keep learning, keep looking up. Thank you.